And we're live. Hello, everybody. What's going on? Welcome to the Catfish and Crappie podcast. My name is Mark, and today's guest is Violet Talley. What's going on, Violet?
How you doing, Mark?
Good. Hey, I'm going to shout out everybody who's here in chat. They're starting to come in, so I like to give them a holler out because I really appreciate their support, and I'm really always grateful to see them in here. So I'm going to pull up the list of people in here. They're starting to come in. Let's see who we got. We have a couple crosses fishing. That's Betty. Betty's one of your biggest fans. Just about as big a fan as D.
Oh, that's
I imagine D's out here. If D's fishing, if she's watching on her TV, hello D. We got Greg over at Ace Catfishing. What's going on, Greg? Thanks for watching. Avid Fisherman, what's going on, Avid? How are you, Dana? Catfishing Katie Collins, what's going on, dear? How are you? I hope everything's good and you're feeling better. Miss Cindy Stokes, what's up, Cindy? Cindy is Lyle Stokes' wife. She's I'm saying this to Violet so she knows. She's a very special lady. She loves to fish probably as much, if not more than you, Violet. She's really at it. Lyle always says if the boat's moving and she's not coming, there's going to be hell to pay for him. So he has to mind that he has to mind her really carefully. Buckeye Catfishing, what's going on? Catfish Fever and Outdoors, what's going on, Lynn? Let's see. Country Boy Catfishing, what's up? Dale Hayslip, David Garchar, Alicia Barnett, Ernie Brown, Fishing and Cooking with Mike Chavez. There's a guy who's got a cool channel. He fishes and he cooks some good stuff. Makes you want to eat your phone if you're watching on your phone. Let's see. We got Fish in the Mid-South. What's up, my friend? There she is. Get hooked on D Fishing. What's up, D? Thanks for watching. Greenwell Fishing. What's going on, Mike? Hooks and Hammocks. What's up, buddy? Hey, I need to message you on Facebook. I want to see if I can repost one of your pictures. Thanks for doing it. Hey, look at that. Ohio for life. Matt, thank you so much for the super chat, my friend. We'll get to you saying hello to you too in a second, but I appreciate the support. You're awesome. I really appreciate it. James Dockery Fishing. What can I say, Violet? He's probably one of the most knowledgeable fishermen I know. He does a lot of studying, does a lot of reading, and he's likes fishing for pretty much anything that swims. So whether it's silver cats or stag and buffalo, he's a big time. I don't want to call him a crappie breeder, but he has some ponds on his property that he takes care of the crappie and gets everything done there. All right, let's move on here so we can get started. Jason Ward, what's up, Jason? John Boy's Catfishing. Josh Monarch, JP3, what's up, my friend? Justin's Fishing Fetish, what's up, Gabby's dad? Kevin Baker, Nuts and Bolt Fishing, what's up, Kevin? Kentucky Big Cats and Bourbon, hey, Tim. Dr. Michael Morello, what's up, buddy? Ohioan for life. Matt, hey, buddy, I hope you got those jigs. And thank you so much for the super chat. That's awesome. I appreciate it. Outside with the Haze, Papa Ed, Parker Pursuits, Randall Wade, Ryan Bortz, Blue Collar Fishing. Ryan Bortz was one of my guests, and he is one of my top podcasts so far since I started uploading. So, Ryan, if you listen to podcasts, you might want to check it out. A lot of people have been liking that podcast, my friend. Setting Hooks and Crossing Eyes. That's Ryan. He's a local fisherman. He fishes a lot of the waters that you and I fish. Violet, Sean Abney. Sharina is keeping it real. What's up, Sharina? Slime Action Outdoors. Sunfish King. The Weekend Angler, Josh, hopefully everything's going good. Hope you move that boat. And I sent you a private message to your second account, man. Are you even going to look at that, buddy? Thomas Littlepage, Uncle Lou. Uncle Lou's got a tackle shop on Facebook. He's starting to sell stuff. A lot of people really like his planer boards. Thank you guys all for coming in. I'm going to go through the list again real quick before we get started. Buckeye Catfishing, Cindy, Katie, hello again. Creole Catfishing, what's up, Creole? Creole I do a 1-versus-1 live fishing challenge where anglers get to challenge each other to a fishing tournament, I guess, 1-versus-1. They make the rules. I host it. I MC it. Usually happens once or twice a month. We're going to start doing it on Saturdays. He's got the next one coming up on April 10th against Ryan Bortz. Those guys are going to go head to head. It's going to be interesting because Ryan's in Kentucky, I believe, or he fishes the. I'm sorry. Yeah, he is Kentucky, and forgive me, Ryan, if I got that wrong. So many people here, and Jeremy over at Creole Catfishing is down in Louisiana fishing the Mississippi. Ryan fishes from a kayak. Jeremy doesn't, but they're both hell of a good anglers. So Ernie Brown, hello. I imagine Chrissy's there. Chrissy, if I'm other, she is Chrissy Brown. Okay, man. We have 45 in chat. We're getting there. Thank you, guys. If I missed you, I'll try and catch you later on the show, but we're going to get the podcast started. Thank you again for the super chat, Matt. I appreciate it. So let's get going. Welcome to the Catfish and Crappie podcast. Tonight's guest, Violet Talley. What's going on, Violet? How are you?
Oh, I'm busy. You know how it is, getting prepared, getting everything going, watching the weather, waiting for the boat. I'm getting impatient. Got to get out of the water.
I am too. I was going to try and get out tomorrow, but the wind's going to be a little high, and I don't feel like spending more time keeping my boat off the docks than I do fishing, which is pretty much what happens when you're fishing the channels for crappie out here. So maybe I'll try and get out and do a little bank fishing somewhere. Maybe I'll try for some channel cats. Finally, I've kind of been ignoring them. They might miss me. Since the ice was out, we got to fish. Disclaimer here: me and Violet have known each other for a while now. I don't want to say a long time, but it feels like a long time in a good way.
Yeah, it does.
It absolutely does. We did some ice fishing this year, and the last time I got on some cats was when we were through the ice. I got 3 channel cats. It was a good time. We had a lot of fun. We got to catch some bass and some panfish together. Mind you, we did eat those bass, so you catfish guys might be proud. Lyle Stokes in the house. What's going on, Lyle? Welcome, buddy. Lyle made an announcement today about Chad over at Fishing with the Chad, that Chad will be standing in for Lyle while he's taking care of some personal stuff on the channel. So I want to congratulate Chad over at Fishing with the Chad. Chad, I'm wearing your shirt, buddy. Thank you for sending me this. I appreciate it. Good luck to that. You're going to do fantastic. So James will take good care of you while you're out there. So back to what's going on. We did a little ice fishing this year. We had a lot of fun. I look forward to fishing with you over, or hopefully sooner than later this year. My goal is to get you on a 30-pound plus flathead at least once this year. I think you might like
that'll
that being
definitely be a first. I think I thoroughly enjoy it. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoy it because I've never done that thing.
It might change it. You've musky fished, right? A little bit?
By accident, yes.
By accident? Okay. So you don't hang out with Tony. You don't hang out with Tony Krizak at all up there on the chain?
No, I haven't actually done it for real. I mean, we've fished this year on the chain. I've actually gotten the muskie population is getting really healthy on the chain. I heard that the fishery there is amazing, especially for walleye and the muskie and everything but the bass, although there's some big bass have been caught, but muskie, I must have caught 7 muskie in tournaments this year. I mean, granted, they weren't anything probably over 30 inches, but there's some pretty healthy muskie on that chain. And like I said, this is how I fish for muskie. I fish for bass and a muskie hits my line. That's how it works. If I fish for muskie,
that's how I fish for muskie. I fish for catfish, and they'll muskie and pike will take dead bait. They do a lot. Also, if I'm bait fishing, I'll get a lot of the little hammer handles, whether it's muskie or pike. If I'm fishing a jig with whole worms, especially in high water under bridges and stuff, they seem to love that. So,
oh wow,
I don't see why they wouldn't take a crankbait or something.
Oh no, you know what? Last year was swim jigs. I don't know what it was, but man, they were hitting those swim jigs, and they'd hit right out. So they scare the heck out of you, you know, because you don't expect you're trying to get the jig out of the water, and next thing you know, this muskie comes out of nowhere. Amazing.
Mm-hmm. Ryan over at Sen Hook says him and his dad used to hammer the bass over on it just moved on Fox Lake on all the docks. So I'm sure you're familiar with that. Mike Turner, 712 Catfishing. Hey, what's going on? He says hello to both of us. All right, might as well start highlighting some of these. I always forget to do that, to let the people get their little shout out here. If you are listening on a podcast, we do record this live. So if you hear me talking about people that aren't on mic, those are the people in our live chat audience. Please come check it out at the Catfish and Crappie channel on YouTube. You can be part of the live audience, ask my guests questions. We do have giveaways from time to time. I'm planning on having some pretty soon, and you also get a chance to hear it, to see what exactly is that snoring behind me. That happens to be Coco. So if you guys are listening or watching at home, there she is. You can check her out. She's become
she hasn't moved.
Yeah, she hasn't moved since we got her. She hasn't moved since like 4 this afternoon. She's tired. I took her out in the car. We went to go make a run out to the bank, and on the way back I went and I scoped out the river like I always do in a couple other spots. So she's all tuckered out from being in the car, walking back and forth and jumping around. So anyway, back to fishing. So let's get back to I had you on the Ladies Take Overnight. That was a great show. I loved having everybody on there. I loved having you, Paula, Dee, Betty. It was really, really, really a cool show. A lot of people really liked it. I was looking forward to it to a point where I even wore a sports coat that night, and everybody the ladies got upset at me for wearing a sports coat to that because this is a live video show. They felt like I outdressed them or something, and I did not whatsoever, and I didn't mean it. I was just trying to be respectful and show how serious I was taking it. So I hope you didn't feel that way.
No, I thought it was a great group. It was the first time I met those ladies, and they're just awesome. It's great to be on a show with those guys and hearing everybody talk and everybody support each other. And then of course they had to give you a couple digs, which was great, especially on that coat. But it was awesome. I thought it was great. Those ladies are amazing.
That's one thing about the Catfish community / family that I'm a very grateful to be a part of is we give each other what I like to call the business, and it's all out of good fun. If you're not getting the business, you're not doing something right. You need to change your ways, I guess, is what I'm saying. All right, so let's get back to you. So let's go back to how you started fishing. Where did the passion come from? When did you first decided that this is something you want to do, and then we can talk a little further about where you're at today.
Well, I think how it started, my parents are from Poland, so we started as carp fishermen, So one of the things they really, really wanted to do all the time was just go fishing. It was just an easy way to go on vacation. Like I said, they just came over from Poland. And I think the earliest I remember, or they tell me that I've done fishing, is when I was 3 years old. And I actually have a photo of me and my first fish, which was a carp. And I remember we used to go to Wisconsin all the time, and and it's just, I guess, just over the years, they said, it just got worse and worse with me. I'd be 4 or 5 years old. I'd be getting everybody up in the morning. An hour before I was supposed to get everybody up in the morning, I'd be up running around saying, no, we got to go out earlier. We got to go. And they said I would stare at that bobber and that worm like, and you couldn't budge me. And it's like, I waited until that thing went down, even if it wasn't for an hour. And I don't know what came over me, but it became an addiction, even at a young age. And then, and that's about as far as it went. It was the worm and bobber, or, you take a bunch of corn, stick it on a hook, but the heaviest weights you could, throw it out there and go have a sandwich. That was kind of what I was, listen for the bell. That bell made me nuts. Every time to this day, I hear that bell go on, I feel like I have to go and run and grab a rod somewhere. I swear to God.
I have a love-hate thing with bells. It's either I need them and I want to use them, or I don't want to use them because every time because they drive me nuts. But I'm sorry, I had to get that in there.
Yeah, that's fine. But then high school comes along and you get busy. You got work. You start working, and and you start driving and all stuff. And then but the whole fishing thing kind of still stood in the back of my mind. My dad sold his boat. He had a little Lund aluminum boat with a little Mercury motor tiller on it. And I think when I was around 14, he sold it. So kind of slowly put fishing on the back burner. And then, probably later on in my teenage years when, school was no longer as much of a focus. And, I was starting to get into college. I moved into the Fox Valley area. And because, I was in Chicago. So there weren't a lot of places to fish in Chicago except forest preserves or whatnot. Mm-hmm. So, I did a little bit here and there. And then finally, when I got a job and I started driving some more and I finally moved out, and went more into the suburbs. Like I said, I got into the Fox Valley area and I learned about this body of water or fishery called the Fox River. I hated it. I never fished a river. I lost every lure, jig, you name it. I could never learn how to fish it. I don't know what current was. I couldn't catch a darn thing. And I thought the only thing that's in here, and no offense, are catfish and carp. And I wanted to fish for bass. I wanted to fish for bluegill. I wanted to fish for just panfish. I wasn't big on the carp and catfish. I was done with carp. I'm like, I want to do more. It's not that there's nothing wrong with carp or catfish. It's just, I want to do more than just throw my line out there from what I was taught and just wait. I wanted to constantly be working at it. I wanted to do what those guys on the TV did. And I thought that's all it was. You're either the guy on TV, or you got all that money and you got the boat and you got all the sponsorships, or you're the person on the shore. There's no in between. There's no local tournaments, none of that. I knew nothing about it. So I started fishing the river because that's all I had. And I said, oh, well, I got to make do with what I got. I didn't know that local ponds held fish, so I just immediately went to the river. And then I started slowly but surely learning. And then one day, I guess just things just started coming together, and I started catching smallmouth. And I didn't know anything about, I don't know what smallmouth are. I thought that was a bass. Done. And I would tell my brother, who liked to fish, and he goes, where are you catching smallmouth? I said, the Fox River. He goes, do you have any idea how awesome that is? I said, no. I said, it's a bass. I don't really, it's the same thing as anything, you know, it's like, it's a fish, you know? And then I started learning, then YouTube started coming out, and I just knew I wanted to fish. I just wanted to keep fishing. I didn't have a goal in mind. I just wanted to get out and fish. It was my time. It was the only time where I had patience. I mean, I talk fast, I think fast, I move fast, I work a lot, but fishing just slows me down. I don't want to look at the cell phone. I don't want to eat. I don't want to drink. I just want to throw that line in the water and just work at it and just enjoy it, even if I don't catch a fish. I don't know how or why it happens with me, but I know it's just getting worse.
It's something about focus. It's kind of like saying that mantra if you're meditating or something. It's that cast after cast. It's that constant attention to detail that kind of zones everything out and focuses you on a very pleasurable task, which is fishing. So let's ask you a quick question here from Betty over at A Couple Crosses Fishing. She says, Violet, I seen you and Mark went ice fishing this winter. She's totally jealous, and you should be, Betty. When you come up here, we'll get you out there.
Yeah,
Tell us about ice fishing for those delicious giant perch.
Oh, yeah. Ice fishing for perch. It's hard to find perch on the ice in the local area where we're at, but I'm lucky because one of my tournament partners has a lake that he lives on, and it happens to have really nice perch. I mean,
Isn't that where you're at right this second?
I am. Yeah, we're actually getting ready for the tournament scene, and I'm helping him out, you know, getting reels clean, jig, because I'm all about fishing. I love cleaning my own reels. I searched anything and everything to do with fishing, so I learned how to clean my own reels, maintain them, make jigs, whatever. So I like to, when I have a tournament partner, we're a team. So I like to help him out with whatever he can, because we like to fish the same waters. We want to fish as a team. We got to complement each other. So I like to share whatever skills or knowledge I have, and same with him. So he's the one who's got the boat, so I could at least, you know, return the favor and say, I'll help you with your reels, I'll help you with your jigs, whatever you need. We're going to make this happen this year. We really got to be in the top 10. So I have goals, you know, this year. We both do. So, but yeah, he lives on a really nice lake, and it's very low pressure. It's semi-private. It's right off the Fox River, and it's amazingly, it's got nice, big, fat perch on it. And again, not 15, 16-inch perch, but good eater side. You're looking, I mean, I think the biggest one was like 12, 13 inches, but still, that's really good. And they're fat. You know, they're really nice. They're like little footballs. And I haven't seen that anywhere else except Navy Pier when we used to go, where you and I
Navy Pier, they're hard. Yeah, it's hard to get them that big too, even on Navy Pier. A 10-incher is considered a big one. Every now and then the jumbos will move in, but I think the real big ones kind of lay low and keep away from those lake trout. And if those lake trout are in there, the jumbos aren't in there. That's how they got.
Yeah, you can get those if you have a boat and you go offshore. I got a couple friends who have taken their boats out the last couple of years, and they're just on them. But you got to have electronics, and you got to find the schools of them. And you're going to be, you know, 200, 300, 400 yards offshore, and that's where you'll get them. But first of all, it's winter, and then you got to launch, and it's dangerous out there on the lake, especially like I have an aluminum bass boat. That's not going to help. It's not going to really work unless it's a calm day.
Yep.
And you know, so it's tough. It's tough.
You need a high side deep V for that lake. Right. You really do. Right. And I'm not talking about just like a 16-footer. You're better off with, you know, at least 19-foot plus if you want to get on there and spend some serious time fishing. So Alicia Barnett says rivers were hard for her at first too. She's a lake taught fisherwoman here, so she's sharing some of her experiences here. She's also saying that she's crushed the white bass at the river the past week, though. Very good. Thanks, Alicia.
Really nice.
Yeah, very cool. I see Corey from the Flatty Daddies popped in there. I did see Haz Life. What's going on, Haz? Thanks for checking out the show. Thomas Littlepage. I know that's Sharina is his better half. So he's got a lot of hats. He was showing them off the other night. So, all right. So back to the Fox River and the Smallies. So you get on the Smallies, and which the Fox River, at least today, is a great smallmouth fishery. I don't care what anybody says; it's a heck of a place. If you're willing to work for it, you're going to find them there. If you're willing to put on some waders and walk some of the shallows, you know a lot of guys that kill it out there, not just in boats. So anybody can kind of do it.
Yeah, and kayak fishing too is great for the river as long as you're safe. I mean, you got to stay out of the big current, but that's how, and that's what I graduated to. I went to the kayak and then eventually got myself into a boat. But it was just a process, one step at a time. And you got to enjoy it, because I mean, you know, and like I was saying, when I started fishing the river, once I started catching fish, I started talking to people and getting to kayak fishing. Next thing you know, I find out about bass clubs, and then I found out about tournaments, and I go, nope, I don't want anything to do with tournaments. High pressure. I don't want to be forced into anything. I want to enjoy it. I hate tournaments. I hate the thought of it. And then I did my first tournament just because I thought, okay, I'll try it. And it was the complete opposite reaction. Now I cannot wait to get into the tournament setting. And I don't think it's so much about the pressure or being forced or anything. I think it's a new challenge to me. Fun fishing is fun fishing. I shouldn't say anybody can catch it, but you know, they say anybody can catch a fish when there's fair weather, it's calm conditions. But when you're put up against in a challenge where it doesn't matter what the weather's like, it doesn't matter what the conditions are. I mean, obviously it has to be safe, but you have a timetable. It forces you to think differently. It forces you to challenge yourself and to become a better fisherman. So I think I like that challenge. And then you're working with a team member. You guys have to cooperate. It's a very unique. It's a team mentality, because you guys almost don't. You have to think. You have to think for each other sometimes in a split second, and that's the only way you're going to win. I mean, last year I missed first place overall in team, but it was because me and my teammate at the time, we complemented each other perfectly. So he would throw one thing, whether I wanted to throw something else or not, I had to throw a certain bait because I wanted to back him up, or he wanted to back me up. And no matter what fish, somebody's going to net and somebody's going to catch fish. Whether it's him catching all the fish or I catch all the fish, it doesn't matter. It's fish. So when we get back to the dock, you know, you got that camaraderie that's just absolutely amazing. And it's the whole scene. It's before the tournament, during the tournament, and after the tournament that makes up the amazing experience that I have. And that's what kind of got me to where I am today. And then
speaking of your partner, you want to give him a shout out, because you keep talking about your fishing partner, you never say his name, and I think he's a great guy. He needs a shout out. Come on, Violet.
Yeah, of course we got to give a shout out to Pete. He's been my partner for the last couple of years. I actually met him in the Bass Club, and to be honest, you know, a lot of these guys were kind of like up here, and I was kind of like down here. Being in the Bass Club, I'd never been in a tournament, and I walk in. Now, mind you, I'm coming shore fishing from the Fox River. You know how that is, Mark. And you're coming from shore fishing. I've never been in a bass boat, let alone even touched one or seen one in real life. And I went from a kayak, which I thought was, that's a big thing. And then I get into this bass club where all these guys have $50,000, $60,000, $80,000 bass boats with all these crazy, like name. Yeah. And I'm sitting here going, do not belong here. I am going to look so stupid. And they were nothing but inviting. And Pete was one of the more inviting guys, where he was just really kind. He's like, you know, if you ever want to fish on my boat, you're more than welcome to. And it just happened to come up. There was a tournament series that came up, and I asked him, because he just seemed really nice and very kind and respectful. And he says, you know what? I'm free. I'll be more than happy to put you in my boat, and you do what you want. You fish how you want. And if you want to learn something, ask me. If you don't, you just want to fish, go ahead. And we'll make it competitive, but I'm not going to be a sore loser either. So as long as you have fun, you have a good time. And he has a really nice boat. He's a really great fisherman. He's been all over. He's won all kinds of awards. There's plaques on his wall that I'm staring at right now. I'm like, God, I think I have one, you know, and he's got like 20, you know, and it's nice to be able to learn from somebody like that. Yet he's patient, and he's not going to be there and say, well, we have to win and we have to get fish. It's more of like, you know what, we're going to do our best. We're going to do what we can. He's going to be competitive. And he's going to try to figure things out. But if it doesn't happen, It's fishing. You can't be in first place all the time, you know?
That's, you know, real quick, while James has a question here. James Dockery Fishing asks, when Violet hits the water, when you hit the water, what are the first three baits you always want to use?
Jig. It's a jig is my number one, because it's very versatile. So just a simple, just a regular skirted jig with the craw trailer. That's my biggest thing. I think probably there's like a swim jig, something I could swim, or a chatterbait, something that makes a little bit more vibration in the water, especially this time of year. And then a plastic, some sort of a creature bait, something that I could flip under docks and cover and weeds, whatnot. I'll usually peg. I'll take like the weight that I kind of throw the most is a 3/8 ounce weight, whether it's a jig or a pegged creature bait. But some sort of creature bait, whether it's like a little beaver or it's a craw. But I'll peg that on with a like a bullet weight, tungsten, usually bullet weight, and I'll peg that, and I'll use that and I'll flip it around or I'll drag it. But a jig is probably number one because you can flip it, you can drag it, you can hop it, you can swim it, you can do everything with it. And so I've even taken a jig and flipped it on lily pads and skirted it across the top of the lily pads like a frog. So if that was one, that would be the one. But I would say like a jig, a creature bait, and some sort of swimming like a swim jig or chatterbait. So,
since we're on the topic of baits, I'm going to ask you a loaded question here. Wacky rigged Senkos, is that cheating? Is that taking the easy way out? What say you on that topic?
Yeah, I don't think it's cheating at all. It's not because I've had people who have thrown a wacky rig and haven't caught anything. And I'll be right next to them. The nice thing about a wacky rig, and it's funny because Pete actually taught me how to wacky rig. When I started fishing, even first year in the tournament, I never threw a wacky rig ever. And they looked at me and saying, everybody starts with a wacky rig. Everybody threw wacky rigs when they were kids. I said, not this one. I've never thrown a wacky rig. And I found out that on the chain, it's pretty darn effective. And it's actually effective anywhere, obviously.
Everywhere, yeah.
Especially just because it's so pressured. I mean, there's like 10 tournaments a week on the chain. And half of them are bass tournaments. So those fish, and they're yanked out of their location and thrown in another location. And they've seen anything and everything. So a nice wacky worm, and especially the way you present it, is just absolutely crucial. So, and again, wacky rig can get you small fish, it can get you big fish. That's the only issue I have with it. It will get fish of every size species. So, kind of like a Ned rig. But a wacky rig, you can fish suspended fish. You can fish on the bottom. You can fish in grass, rocks.
You can leave it lay there, and they'll pick it up.
Right, exactly. Leave it laying there, shake it, just drag, do whatever you want. I've also taken a wacky rig again, thrown it on some lily pads and bounced it over the lily pads. I've had fish come out of the water and grab it like a frog. So, yeah, I would say a wacky rig. I almost forgot about that because last year was really the first year I fished a wacky rig consistently. I think I put it on my hook once prior to that. So last year, as I really learned, and especially on Pete's Lake, I learned quite a bit. He taught me probably about 15 different ways of fishing that thing, and there's probably 10 more ways left to find out how to do that.
Very cool. All right. So, that's a loaded question. I've heard other guys talk about that, whether it's cheating or not. Just that and the Alabama rig, the umbrella rigs come up in tournament fishing, but we won't get into that. That's a little more specific.
Yeah, it's banned in some tournaments. I know there's one or two tournaments that banned them.
Violet, I've recently taken, this is from Betty again. Violet, I've recently taken a liking to Daiwas for crappie, but want to get into trolling for walleye, sauger, sawguy. Any Daiwa recommendations for trolling? Just so you guys know, Violet is a Daiwa sponsored angler. So ask away, or hopefully you got an answer for that.
Question. Unfortunately, I've been with Diawa for a little bit over a year now, and I'm mostly in the bass category. As far as the trolling equipment, I'm sorry, but I can't really tell you on the recommendations for trolling. I know they've come out with a lot of new lines this year. They went crazy when it comes to innovation. But I know that a lot of the walleye guys use the Kage series, which is it's Kage. They use a lot of their spinning reel combos. They rave about it. There's a walleye team, the huge tournament team up in Wisconsin, like southern Wisconsin, and they use the Kage model. Yeah. And so they love those combos, and they swear by them, both the rods and the reels. So those are a really good combo for them. So you could try those. But as far as trolling, I don't know much about that. Trolling and walleye are new to me. That's one of the things I'm hoping to get on a couple walleye guys boat this year, because even though you're a bass tournament angler or bass fisherman, learning to use other techniques for other species can actually help me in the long run. So it'd be good to know how they do things, because you never know. I mean, those guys catch bass too. I've had some musky guys catch monster bass, just fishing the techniques and presentations they do that we may have never thought about. So it'd be good to know. So we're both kind of in the same boat. Sorry, I can't really answer that question, but I would say try out that Kage series and see what you think about that.
Probably any Daiwa with a line counter will probably do you good,
That's
unless you don't need
yeah.
a line counter. If you're trolling Betty, I would definitely go with a baitcaster. It's just easier to control whether it's a low
There you
profile.
go. You know more about
low profile. Yeah, I don't know much, but I know whether it's a low profile or round reel, a line counter helps in consistency. You want to be able to get your lure to a certain depth if you're marking them on a fish, and there's certain apps like that. Betty messaged me offline. I can help you out with that a little bit.
Their Tatula line, when it comes to the baitcasters, I do love their Tatula line. They've really expanded on, but the Tatula SVTWS is the one I use for bass. It's a good all around, but it has a really smooth spool on it. You can pretty much put heavy line on it or light line on it, and you still get the sensitivity, but you also get that good drag, that nice strong drag on it. So maybe that would be the line to look at, the Tatula bait casting series.
The Tatulas are very nice. I've gotten my grubby hands on a couple of them, and I was pretty happy with the way they perform. But I have my favorites, which I'm really, really well stocked. And so until there's a need for another reel, I don't want to try one out. We will keep that in mind, though. So let's see what else we got here. I want to make sure we don't miss anybody in chat here. Cool. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to post them. Put a couple question marks like Betty and James did earlier. It'll make it a little easier for me to find. So, all right. So when's the tournament year starting for you this year?
The tournament I'm starting is actually going to be in about less than 2 weeks. It's on April 11th. I'll be doing a new series on the Fox River. So Pete and I are going to be doing that. Pete's done that series. Well, he's done that length of the river. So it's the lower river from Algonquin Dam north. So that's probably just past the McHenry Dam. I guess we can lock up. But I have fished that river a little bit, but just kind of on my own shore fishing and in a kayak. But he's been doing it for a while. So it's going to be a lot of back channel fishing. Trying to find that warmer water and the water that's out of the current. So, but that's going to be a lot of largemouth fishing, probably more than smallmouth. Obviously, we can't bring smallmouth in till I think it's middle of June.
I think June 14th. At least last year it was. It changes every year. I think they want to fall on a certain day in the week. So,
yeah.
You had a fan already. Brian B. Catfish and says Violet is my new favorite.
Thank you.
I don't blame you whatsoever. See, I told you that all these catfishermen would like you, and crappie fishermen. All right. Ohioan for Life Matt says, what's your go-to plastic for brownbacks and small rivers, which is what the Fox is. What do you think of the Helgramite? I know they work great live. I've never tried one plastic.
Yeah, I've never tried the plastic, but Ned rig on the Fox River. If they bite nothing else, they'll bite that. You will get smaller fish, but my personal best on the Fox River is 4 1/4 pounder, and that was on a Ned rig, 5 feet from my feet, from the shoreline. So a Ned rig is wonderful. New Money is my favorite color, or anything like California craw or Canada craw. They usually have some of those copper and purple flakes in them. New Money's got that watermelon and green pumpkin red flake, which they go crazy for. And the biggest thing is when you throw that Ned rig out there, you drag it along the ground slowly and pause and drag it along. Put it this way, the slower the better. And if you don't think you're going slow enough, go slower. And you're just looking for a tap. And I'm telling you, that tap could be a 3-inch smallie or it could be a 3-pound smallie, because they both hit the same when it comes to that thing. But the Ned rig, they will, if nothing else works, that Ned rig will definitely catch something.
That Ned rig's deadly, man. I've caught so many different kinds of fish on a Ned rig. It's incredible. When I fish under those little creek bridges and stuff, when I'm looking for bait, a Ned rig works for those, and I catch all sorts of fish. I mean, my PB, well, not my current PB, but my last PB. I'm not a big PB guy unless it's really big. Was like 5 pounds at 1 ounce, and that was on a Ned rig. Right after ice out, I was looking for crop or something, and the water was high, and it was under there, but that's a long story. Yeah. Michael Morello says, Violet, Daiwa carp fishing rods and reels are absolutely incredible. I own several. If you haven't dabbled with those, it would for sure be time well spent. All the Daiwa stuff's good. I have to agree with both of you guys. So that's awesome.
Daiwa's wonderful. Yeah, I don't use Daiwa rods because I'm with Grant Rods. Nothing against Daiwa; they have great rods, and I've used Daiwa, St. Croix, whatnot. But the quality of the Grant rods is incredible. He's local. He's been doing it for over 38 years now. He's manufactured for so many people. Wonderful man Jim Grand is with his Grant rods, and The other thing you can't match is there's a lifetime warranty on those rods. So I can't not use them, and they're strong. I can't tell you how many different kinds. So it's just, I don't use Daiwa rods, but like I said, they're good rods, but I really prefer the Grant rods over the Daiwa rods for many, many, many reasons. But they do pair very well with Daiwa reels. And like I said, I'd be with Daiwa whether I'm sponsored by them or not. I've been using Daiwa before and after, anytime. So even if I didn't get sponsored tomorrow, I would still be using Daiwa reels.
I'm looking for a couple of new small crappie reels. Maybe I'll check some Daiwas out. We'll have to touch bases and talk a little more about that. But those Grant rods, which they are a sponsor of yours, weren't you telling me that those blanks are made in the USA right here in Arlington Heights?
Yes, he actually makes his own blanks. And like I said, he's actually made the equipment. I know that, and I don't want to get too involved. I don't know too much, but he actually custom made his own equipment to make those blanks so that he can keep them here, because a lot of these rod manufacturers that said or have made their blanks in the U.S. no longer do that. They outsource them overseas or whatnot, and they get the blanks and they'll put on top of them. But he actually makes his own blanks. He weaves his own carbon fiber. He uses Kevlar. He's constantly trying to raise the bar. And what I love about it too, he does everything from the salt, from saltwater stuff to crappie stuff to special trout stuff. I mean, he'll look at a geographic location, see what those guys are fishing and what they're fishing with, and he'll make that rod specifically for that geographic location. Like he's got one for the Detroit River. I mean, just so many different kinds of rods. And the nice thing I like about it is if I'm not sure what I want or what I need, I can just say, this is my situation. This is what I like. I know I'm looking for one of your rods. You got a ton of them. What you think would be better for me? And if he says, this is good or that's good, that's great. But sometimes I say, you know what? We can actually custom make you one. So he has no.
I'm jealous now. Holy smokes.
Yeah, I mean, they are pricey, but because you're paying for that quality, and it is definitely worth the money. I mean, when you get to that caliber where you're tournament fishing, especially, I mean, it doesn't have to be tournament fishing, but where you understand over time what you need, where your strengths and weaknesses are, you need to find gear that's going to help you with your weaknesses and help enhance your strengths. So in a tournament setting, I don't have time. I mean, I have a lot of rods and reels on the deck because it's not because I'm lazy. It's because I have a second, because those fish might be biting for the next 5 minutes, and I got 5 minutes to get 5 fish in that boat, because once they stop biting, now it turns into a reaction bite. Now it's even harder to get them in, or they've moved, or the current changed, or something. I don't have time to worry about my gear, so I need the top of the line gear. And if you want quality, I mean, he's one of the guys that has those quality rods, and those rods will do what you need to do at the time you need it done. So I just couldn't mess around with it anymore. I've broken too many rods, or they're, I'll lose fish because you think you're on them, or you lose slack, or there was not enough backbone, or, so many excuses. I can't have an excuse anymore. So instead of fighting the rod, I'm fighting the fish now, which is good. But I learned a lot from him too. He'll educate you too. And he says, well, if I don't have something for you, I'll know where you can get one. So anyway, but yeah, I can go on and on. Jim's been really good to me. And I hesitated, because I love my St. Croix rods, and I thought, rod's a rod. Somebody's got a rod for me. Everybody's got rods. They're all the same. Yeah, well, not until you actually start work. You put one in your hands and you start actually using it, and then you realize when the seconds count.
I agree. There's something about enhancing your experience, even if you're not tournament fisherman.
Right.
Fishing, granted, an ugly stick will work, but if you can get that little, edge, or make it a little easier or more pleasurable, your fishing experience is going to be way better, not just your finish in a tournament. So
exactly.
If anybody's looking out there and you're really into the sport, it's like the difference between, a $10 bottle of whiskey and a $100 bottle of whiskey. Granted, they both give you a buzz, but that $100 one's a little more of an experience.
Right.
Right. All right. A couple Betty adores you. She's got all sorts of questions.
I love Betty.
She says, I do too. She's awesome. I call her my sister from another mother. All tournaments aside, if you could only fun fish for one species, would it be bass? Oh,
wow. Geez, gosh, that's a hard one. I mean, I love bass just because it's a different experience for me. You're kind of hunting for them, and you have to put all your senses together and look at all the conditions, and you're going for that predator. And but I got to tell you, there's nothing more fun than catching a really nice big bluegill on a bobber. I hate to tell you, when I see that bobber just move for an inch, man, you don't even talk to me. I'm waiting for it. I mean, but it's hard to find good pan fishing, good, nice big crappie, nice big bluegill. And, the pan fishing experience has always been that secret love of mine. But it would be bass, but man, I got to tell you, that pan fishing is very quick.
And you get to take them home.
Yes, that's the other thing.
You really do. That's I can't say it enough. There's something about being able that primal connection with putting food on a plate that really resonates with me. I don't do it with catfish or especially trophy catfish to begin with, for various reasons. But when it comes to like panfish and stuff, that just has a special place.
Yeah,
in my
and
heart.
that's why I started hunting too. I mean, I'm all about
Mm-hmm.
It's not for the sport. I love that you're right, that primal instinct of bringing it back to the table and then sharing it with others. I mean, when I go pan fishing, I'll pan fish several times, but I'll make enough so that I can put a fish fry together for me and friends and family, because it's great having it the meal, but when you could share with everybody else, they're like, there's one time where I actually had a variety of pan fish, and I kind of did I had some people had never had it before, and I said, okay, I'm going to make these each one's going to be a different pan fish, and you guys tell me which one you like better, and I secretly had them labeled underneath the dish. And it's like seeing everybody's reaction. They're like, this one is opposed to this one and it's kind of neat because they really enjoy it. They taste the difference. But I think it would still be my number one, just because it requires
very cool
constantly be thinking and trying to, I guess, outsmart them, if you want to put it that way. But yeah, pan fishing would be a very close second.
Yep, I want to remind everybody, since you did bring that up, that I do co-host Panfish Weekly, Panfish Nation on the Panfish Nation YouTube channel. So if you like panfish like me, and obviously Violet does, check out me and Lyle on Thursday nights after the bait shop on the Fishing with the Chad channel. So had to get that plug in. I'm turning into such a YouTuber, Violet. I can't believe it. I got to get all those plugs in. Speaking of plugs, let's answer this question for Matt over here. It says, he says, I Ned rig Hellgramite, and they work very well in the spring river here. Spring River here in Arkansas. What is the floor of the Fox River like?
Oh gosh, everything that can snag your bait. But Mark, it's a lot of rock. I mean, I'm sometimes afraid to wade the river because I'm always tripping over something. It's a lot of rock.
South of the south part of the Fox River, or it's called the south section below Algonquin Dam, there's a lot of rock and stuff. That's because there's not much boat traffic. Any boat traffic there is either that one-off jet boat every now and then, or it's one with somebody with a mud motor who brings it out and gets it on there. There isn't a lot of boat traffic for those reasons. It gets pretty shallow in spots. You really got to know that river to get through, but that's a good wadable part of the river. So there's a lot of rock there, at least that I know. But north of Algonquin Dam, it's flat and it's mud. Yeah, I don't find too much rock. Yeah, so a lot of downfall stuff. Let's see what else we got here. All right, speaking of that, let's talk a little bit about your sponsors. Let's give them let's help you pay the bills, so to speak. Let us know a little bit about who sponsors you, what they provide for you, what it's like to be a sponsored angler. There's a lot of people out there that hope and dream and try for it. Maybe give them a little insight to what it's like. And is it a dream come true? Of course it is, right?
Yeah, it's absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, you got to pay the bills, but that's not really what the sponsors are for anymore. I mean, there was a time of day where it was just all those, you'd see the pros on TV. And it was really simple at the time. You're either pro on TV with the $100,000 bass boat and you get out all these sponsors. And the way you got it was you had to win the tournaments. You win the tournament, you get a sponsor. You don't win the tournament, you don't get sponsors, period. Now it's a whole different story. Now YouTubers can get sponsors, kids can get sponsors, people who don't win anything can get sponsors. But you know what? It's not even sponsors anymore. Now you're pro staff. So you're technically your promotional staff. And when I used to think pro staff, I thought, oh, I'm a professional. Because that's not what pro means. Pro means you are promoting them. So they're looking for people to share their love of the product, their love of the whole fishing community, and how their product can fit into that. So when you're pro staff, you're basically just somebody who's just representing their product because you love it enough to be able to share it. And that's really what it comes down to. You can't really say it's sponsor anymore. But every company is different in this day and age, especially. So, some of them give you a lot, some of them give you a little, but rarely do any pay the bills anymore. The way we look at it is kind of like, it's a great way to promote me and my brand. It's a great way to get a partnership, get me in doors that I wouldn't normally get into. Sometimes there's free product, sometimes, but it's a rarity. I mean, obviously you have to work your way up the chain. I'm down here still. I'm not doing any national tournaments yet. I'm not on the elite circle. I'm not on the pro circle. I would say considered semi-pro. Some people frown upon it, but technically I cash a check. If you make money at something, you're technically a professional. I'm a professional photographer. I'm a professional graphic designer, professional businesswoman. I guess I'm a professional angler, even though it's not full time. But I do have sponsors, but that doesn't mean anything, because I get the sponsorship. I might get something out of it, but I got to tell you, if you want to keep that sponsorship long term, you need to help them as well. So you have to put the work in. There are many days where I'm at the I have a boat dealer sponsor, Lake County Water Sports. They're like one of my best, if not my best sponsor. They have helped me with my boat. They've helped me get my boat. They've helped me rig my boat up. They're just amazing, amazing people. They'll take care of any person with any boat, any issue. And if they can't figure it out, they'll find somebody who can, and they'll make sure you get taken care of. And they're in Wakanda. And, and I spend time there. I'll go there every week and visit them, see if they need help with anything, help them at trade shows. I mean, you have a responsibility as a pro staffer. Just because they're not going to give you things just because of who you are. I mean, who am I really? I'm not winning huge tournaments everywhere. Like I told you, I'm no Van Dam or Mike Iaconelli or anybody big on the bass world. But I can influence people. I have had a lot of people say, hey, I watch you on YouTube. I know you from here and here and here. Tell me what you would do, because I'll do the same thing. And that's called being an influencer. And if you influence people just by showing them that you truly love what you do and the product, you truly love the product, people will follow you. And genuinely, I'm not trying to sell anybody anything. I'm just sharing what I already have. And that's what they're looking for. And unfortunately, the fishing community is very saturated. I mean, like Mark, we got YouTubers, we got all kinds of people trying to be the next pro person. You got high school bass teams now, which I never had high school bass teams when I was growing up. It seems like every high school's got a bass team, so every kid wants to be a pro, and it's a hard lifestyle, and it's difficult. It's sponsorships are not what they used to be, but it's not that they're bad either. You just have to be doing it for the right reason. And I have many reasons why I have sponsors, but the reason to pay the bills is really not it, because they won't pay your bills. They'll make things a little bit easier depending on how much you want to put into it, but you have to put just as much, if not more, into it, because it all depends on what is important to you. And money is not important to me. What's important to me is the experience, the camaraderie, and linking up with good people like you, Mark, obviously.
Thank you.
Yeah, when I know people like you, I mean, if somebody could see me on this podcast, say, hey, you know what? I would love to sponsor her, and maybe it was something I was looking for. Or they might say, you know what? I got a tournament series I want to have you win, or something. You never know what door it can open. But it's never like, oh, we're going to hand you a $1,000 check. That's not.
No.
That does not happen at all. Or even you're lucky if you get 10% off the product. But it's again, is it important to you to get the 10% off? Is it important to you to be representing the band? The brands I represent are the ones that I solely love. I don't do it because they came to me. I do it because I truly love to work, right, and use their stuff. So, like I deal with Illumicraft. I love my Illumicraft.
Oh, I'm such a Illumicraft fanboy. That's going to be my next boat. But we'll have to talk next year.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, and I was with Evinrude. I loved my Evinrude motor, but Evinrude's no longer with us, excuse me. So now I'm with Mercury, you see. So, I mean, that's, there's nothing wrong with the Mercury motor. I'm going to be new with them, but I wanted to switch over and work with the company because you want to be in the fishing community. But, and I got Diawa because I love Diawa reels. Jim Grant with Grant Rods was one of the ones that I didn't know anything about. And he actually asked me to come on and sign on board because he said, you know what? I love what you're doing for the community. You're doing it for the right reasons. You're not doing it because
absolutely.
We're going to bring it up. The female angler thing, it brings attention to me. So I kind of stand out. So being a female angler, it's more of a rarity, if you want to call it, in the Midwest area. So the sponsors kind of say, oh, maybe it's a new market we can get into. We're going to take her on just because she's a female. And one of the first things he said to us is, not because you're a female. It goes, you walk in a room and half those people are saying, hey, I know her. And she comments on my posts and she's really nice and she works her butt off. He goes, I want to know that person. I don't care whether you're female or male. I want to know why are you getting the attention? And
I got a funny story about that. I'm going to interrupt you here. I want to say thanks. I want to say thanks to Avid so much for the $10 super chat. I appreciate the support as always. I'm not doing this for the money, but I'll tell you what, it helps to pay the StreamYard bills, and maybe I can get a new camera one of these days. That's what I'm trying to get. So, Flatty Daddy says, Violet, if you get to the point where you can fish the national tournaments, would you do that or stay at the series you fish now?
Good question. That's an excellent question. When it comes to fishing, I want to enjoy the journey. I don't want to push myself to the point where it no longer is fun anymore. I've been in that situation where I've done something professionally to the point where I never want to do it again, and I forgot why I did it in the first place. So when it comes to fishing, if I get to that level, if I feel comfortable to be able to fish at the national level, I will definitely do it. I would take that opportunity in a heartbeat, but I have to feel confident and comfortable to be able to say, hey, you know what? I'm ready for it. Not because, hey, here's a window, let's just take it and then get there and find out, I'm not prepared. Now, will I ever be prepared? Maybe not. But I want to at least feel confident. I want to feel mentally stable enough to be able to take that type of environment, because it is a very different high-end, fast-paced environment. I've never been in it, but just knowing it and what a kind of a caliber it's at, it's you just even seeing it on TV and what some of these guys go through. Because the nice thing about social media is a lot of the pros now will go onto their social media and show you a little bit behind the scenes of how things are going on and things they have to deal with. And it's not a picnic. It's difficult. Not. So you really have to love it and remember why you got into it to be able to survive at that level. So yes, I would love to do the national tournaments, but on my own time when I'm ready.
Real quick, Uncle Lou, thank you so much for the support and the $20 super chat. Thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate it. Uncle Lou has a shop on Facebook. If somebody wants to post his link out there, he makes great planer boards. Check him out. You won't be disappointed. Thank you, sir. I think you would do just fine at any level that you fish. Knowing you for a while and seeing how you act, you're probably one of the hardest working people I know when it comes to the fishing industry. So, and notice I said people.
Thank you.
Just a head up for that one. All right. And here's a little side story that I wanted to share with you. I remember when I saw you, what was it at the Arlington? What was that fishing show I saw you at where you were there with the dealership? Was that in the Schaumburg show? Yeah. I remember going up to you and saying hello and you gave me a big hug, and we were talking like we'd known each other forever. And then I walk away and the guys were like, oh my God, you know Violet Talley? And I'm kind of like, really? Wanted to share that with you. So I scored big points with my buddy, so I want to thank you for that.
Oh, wow. I got to tell you, it's surreal. I mean, the first time I ever did the show, I remember I stood in the Diawa booth, and I just barely signed on with them. And I was like, I was just on a high. And I remember the rep that signed me on comes up, and he goes, more people walked through this booth in the last 15 minutes that knew you, and they didn't know anybody else in our booth. They're like, who are you? And I go, I don't know. People I guess they know me. I mean, I try to be friendly and courteous. I mean, if you share my passion, we got something great in common. I'd love to talk to you about it. I'd love to hear your fishing stories.
And she's not kidding, people, and not kidding whatsoever. She's one of the most approachable, nicest people that I've met in the fishing business. Thank you so much, Betty, for your support. I'm really overwhelmed. Thank you so much. We ice fished this year, and I wanted to explain something to you. People wanted me to put an ice fishing video out. I got out like 3 times ice fishing, and the most productive time I had was out with you. Well, actually, the second most was when we were out there on Pete's Lake over there. We're not going to name the lake or anything. And I looked at the video I had on my phone, which was the outro with you and I, and it was fabulous. I looked at the drone footage you gave me. It was fabulous. I looked at all the fishing videos, not so fabulous. It was nothing but, pardon my expression, but me like groin shots. So this is part of my growing pains with my YouTube channel.
Oh my God.
So next year when the ice comes back, we're going to have to make some definite adjustments. So if anybody was wondering if we got that stuff on video, we did. It was a great time. We slayed the panfish. I got 2 bass, all in like the 2 to 4 pound range, which were nice. That was really cool. I got to meet Pete, and Pete was a very gracious guest. I wanted to thank you guys for doing all that and the open invite that you gave me to that area and that spot. So it was really cool. So what kind of plans you got coming up besides the tournament?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's really much. I got the tournament scene going on. I already had a full tournament schedule. I took the same schedule I had last year. I do every Wednesday night on the chain. Then I'm doing a monthly on the chain, a monthly on Lake Geneva, a monthly on the river, and another monthly called National Bass Trail, which is on Geneva and Lake Tishigan. And Tishigan's a new lake that I've come to love immensely because it is an offshoot of the Fox River. So the Fox River goes right through it, and then it opens up into a lake, and it goes right back into the Fox River again. So you got smallies, you got largies, you get pike, you get all that good stuff. And it's kind of a you got to be careful because it does have it's a 60-foot deep lake, I think. But most of the Fox River there will tear off your lower unit if you're just not really careful. But it is an incredible fishery because it's not as pressured. And if you like frog fishing, oh my Lord, is it great for frog fishing. But so yeah, it's a little tournament trail called National Bass Trail. They're a singles tournament. So if you have a boat, you can fish alone and kind of just,
oh, cool.
Yeah. I mean, you can do, it's not a team tournament. If you do have room in your boat and somebody needs a boat to fish out of, then you're more than welcome to put them in your boat, but you do fish against them, or I think they fish against the other co-anglers, but you can fish alone. Most tournament series you fish as a team, nothing against a team. I love the team mentality, but every once in a while it's nice to just be able to get out on your own, especially me being more of an amateur tournament fisherman as a boater. It's nice to be able to get out there and just force yourself to make your own decisions. And, and if I make a mistake, I own it. And if I do well, it's me as well. So it's nice to be able to do something different. But yeah, I have 4 monthly tournament series. So basically every weekend's booked almost, and every Wednesday night. So yeah, I'm a little busy, just a little bit. But yeah, but besides the tournaments, I'm really working on my business. My business is really growing. I want to get more into the fishing aspect of the business. In case, let all your viewers know.
Yeah, what's the name? Hold on a second. Let me say thank you to Dee for the great super chat. And I also did get a donation via PayPal from Becca. Thank you very much, Becca, for the very generous donation through PayPal. I appreciate it.
I see Dee's little comment about being a 20-year-old.
Yeah, you see that? Make sure to have Violet on again. She's awesome for a 20-year-old. I have to agree.
You know what? She's the one who commented. I said, Dee, I'm telling you, it's the light. It's all the lighting, and I don't know what I did with the lighting, but man, she was like, oh my God, you look like you're in your 20s. And I go, I love you. I love you so much. So
let's talk about your business. Let's plug your place of business, because she does great work, and who you do work for and stuff like that would be probably really interesting for the people in chat.
Right. I have my own business. It's just me right now. Thank God I have some people also help me out a little bit here and there, but right now I'm kind of like it's just me. But I actually have a nice office studio. My main business right now is I have laser cutting and engraving machines, and I design and create all kinds of custom products for every industry out there. I started out with the wedding industry because they have a lot of custom products, but I do anything made out of wood, acrylic. So I have laser machines, and they will literally create anything that I can design. Kind of almost on the 3D space. It's considered 3D destructive laser cutting and engraving, but I can make everything from cake toppers to signage, to photographs engraved on wood, to displays. I mean, and then what I really want to do is I wanted to get into the fishing industry, and I couldn't figure out, I'm like, geez, there's so many products in the fishing industry. What else can I do except like a fun sign on the wall? And a buddy of mine, and this is how like the whole sponsor, a buddy of mine from the Bass Club said, hey, can you design something that I can put my fish on? I said, why would you want to take your fishing reels off your rods? That's kind of weird. He goes, well, in the winter, I like to maintain my fishing reels, and I like to just display them, because he also kind of collects them, and he really he really upgrades his fishing reels quite a bit and makes them look really nice. And he's big into the Japanese fishing reels. So a lot of these fishing reels are expensive.
That's
really nice.
That's a whole nother world right there.
Oh, it is. Oh my gosh, we could do 3 shows just on that, but we won't get into it.
We could.
So he wanted to display them. He has a fishing room, and I said, well, okay. So he showed me an example of this cheap little plastic one. So I can recreate that, make it better. So I did, and I made it. And then he got me hooked into Lee's Bait and Tackle out in Elk Grove Village. Wonderful tackle shop owned by John Roy.
Great place. Lee's is awesome.
Mm-hmm. And he was awesome. He was my first customer. He says, well, you know what? My reels, just like anywhere else, they sit on boxes. They take the reel out of the box, they put it on the box, and they throw it in their display, and they just flop any which way around. There's no way to like hold. They don't sit the same way on every reel because they have weird shape. So I made a stand that the reel seat goes into, and they all stand the same way. And what I do is I take the base of the stand and I turn it into the logo, and I laser engrave or etch or make the whole thing the shape of the logo. I mean, it's really kind of intricate, really nice piece. He took him to the Schaumburg show, displayed all his reels on there. Diawa came by just to see if he needed any more stock on his Diawa reels. And they said, where did you get those reel stands? We've never seen those before. And we need a bunch of them. And he goes, well, that girl over there, yeah, she does them. Because I was helping him out in his booth that day. Because I said, you know what, thank you for buying these reel stands. Let me help you out. And they came up to me and said, we are looking for reel stands. What can you come up with that would make it different than anybody else's? So I came back with a design, literally overnight designed a really high, it's still my favorite designs, the actual Tatula logo as the base of the reel stand. And I went back to them, and they looked at me and they said, we need to talk. And that's how I got to know Diawa. And I started working with them. They became my client. Then they found out I was an angler. I want to say fisherman, it doesn't matter. Angler. And they said, really? Tell us more. And I said, this is what we can do. And I said, I'm willing to trade for product because I love your guys' reels. So if you guys want to, I'll give you a discount if you guys give me some product. I'd love to get some reels and stuff. They said, let's do one further. They're like, we love your ideas. We love that you're a passionate fisherman. We love everything that you want to do for the fishing community, your social media, everything. How about you get a sponsorship with us? And that's how it started. Good deal. Because again, it's not about winning the tournaments. It's what value can you provide to them that they can then provide to the community. And so they looked at me as a good representation of them to their customers and the people that they work with. And they want longevity. They don't want you there just for one quick hype thing or 15 minutes of fame. They want to stay with you. They want you to be knowledgeable about their product because they know the only way they're going to sell anything is if you genuinely love their product. And so that's how it started. And from Diawa on, I started making partnerships with a lot of companies, and they started to understand who I really was and what value I could bring to them, both through my business, my fishing, my marketing experience, because I'm a marketing major. So it's like an all-encompassing thing.
You got it going on pretty much. Avid, thank you so much for the support on the super chat of the day. You're awesome, my friend. Thank you very much. Yeah, you got it really going on. I really appreciate it. You even coming on here and talking to me. I feel not worthy to be in your presence.
Stop. Really? You're horrible.
I like to give her some trouble. Oh, all right. We're already after 9 o'clock. I told you I wouldn't keep you too late. So thank you so much. You're always a great guest, and I think the people in chat will realize that. I know a lot of people I saw posted that they subscribe to your channel. So hopefully you'll get some more content out there. Check out the Perch video.
I need to get your video out there.
We'll talk. Maybe I can help. Maybe I can help you out in that aspect.
I think so. I really do. I mean, a lot of people are asking. And I feel bad because I don't do it just to be YouTube or whatever. I really want to provide that value because there was nothing when I was looking around for fishing stuff and a way to learn. So I thought, well, why can't they just follow me in my journey? Maybe they'll learn something from it or bring value to them and to my sponsors too. Why not? I mean, they've been very good to me. They've been very kind and respectful and supportive. And I wouldn't be here without everybody's support. And it's impossible to get there on your own. So what's a great way to give back? And if I can do it through video, I mean, it's a lot of work. You know how it is, Mark. It's a ton of work.
Yeah, it is.
A simple video. And
when life's going on, being a business owner makes it even more difficult. So I can sympathize with you 100%.
Yeah.
If I had the time to concentrate on my fishing and my channel, it would be a different animal, and for the right reasons too. Because I know that you and I share this outlook that we're in it to be in it. We're not in it to get ahead. You know.
Right.
So and if anybody can learn from you, I think that would be the best thing they could take away from this chat here. So
thank you.
You're very welcome. So I'm going to say, all right, everybody in chat, thank you so much for all the super chats. I really appreciate it. It all does go back into the show. It doesn't go in my pocket. So my wife says thank you as well. You got to get that in there. Thank you for coming.
What's Coco saying right now?
Coco's saying not much. She's not even snoring.
Oh my gosh.
She hasn't moved. You know, quick story. We just reconditioned that couch, so for some reason it's like extra soft and supple.
Oh,
She's been laying on there, hasn't moved. But anyways, I want to thank everybody for coming on the show. If you're listening on the podcast, I appreciate it. There is a support link on the podcast in the description. You can support me through that too. I appreciate it. Again, Catfish and Crappie on YouTube. If you want to watch the live show, I think you'll get a lot out of it. We do the 1 versus 1. Have one coming up on April 10th. I might have a couple of special podcasts coming up in the near future that will be podcast only, but that's going to be a little different format, so stay tuned for that. Again, thank you, Violet. Thank you, everybody in chat. Get out there and fish. Do it all for the right reasons, man. Love what you do, and keep doing it.
Thanks,
Thank
Mark.
you, everybody. Have a good night.
Bye, guys.